Good morning, Karen from Quantum Heart Awakening. This is going to just be a collective check-in. What does the collective need to know, Spirit? Let's all ground, center ourselves. All right, Spirit, what does the collective need to know? What are the blocks showing up on our path? What are the solutions to those blocks? Okay, we have spiritual knowledge. Put that smack dab in the center. Okay, whoa, avalanche, hold on. We have one flipper, and it is Speak Your Truth. A lot of throat chakra card came up in the Divine Feminine reading. Let me see here. All right, I'm already getting a couple messages. Anything else, Spirit? Anything else before I share? Thank you. And signs. Okay. Okay, for the collective I'm reading here for today, we have to honor that with every next evolution or revolution of our ascension path, we have more information, we have more data, we have more experiential knowledge that will adjust our truth. So we have to continue to check in with self at every single moment, because your truth, your choices, your preferences, the rules of engagement you have in your life may change. So it's very important, collective, to remain current and congruent with your truth, because it's constantly evolving, shifting, and changing. And so it's up to you to drop in and listen to what is the current truth. I just realized here we have an 11 card, a 22 card, and a 29 card. The other thing too, with every level of evolution, you will have different abilities. A lot of people talk about, this ascension process, and it feels like a very upward motion, and it absolutely is. But we can't forget that in order to reach the highest heights, we have to reach down to the lowest depths. And I like to think about this path as an expansion instead of an ascension. I mean, you'll hear me use a lot of these terms anyway, but with every evolution, we're actually expanding our container, our vessel, our container. Our window of tolerance is increasing. And so with that, we will have access to more synchronicities. We'll see more signs. Things will start to make more sense, because we are giving the divine more tools in the toolbox to work with. It's almost like, okay, when we're born, maybe we only have one crayon in the crayon box. But by the time we've done this journey a few times or many lifetimes, maybe not only do you have more than one crayon, maybe you have the whole rainbow of colors. Maybe you have a whole box of crayons. Maybe you have markers. Maybe you have acrylic paints. Maybe you have charcoal. Maybe every time we go through this ascension process or any sort of transformational experiences, we give the divine more tools to communicate with us, and we become more sensitive to those signs and synchronicities. Okay, beautiful. Let's move on. Spirit, where should we go? Is there anything blocking this? Let me just ask directly, what is blocking this truth, Spirit? What is blocking this truth? What does the collective need to know for the highest and best good about communicating their authentic self-expression? All right, we have ambition. That's interesting. Okay, anything else? I'm losing my, oh, this is weird. I have a card that's not supposed to be in this deck. Let's see what it is. Astral travel, vital force information, dream time, soul travel. I'm just going to put that on the side to see if that feeds into our narrative today. Okay, and we have power to visualize a better world. Okay, I mean, it's very clear. Anything else before I jump in? Anything else, Spirit? I just feel like there's another message. Bear with me. Anything else, Spirit? Anything else you want to share about this ambition and this truth? No. Okay. What's in the unconscious? Wisdom. Okay, so what's being... Sorry for all the silence. I'm just letting it all marinate. What's being pushed into the shadow is the wisdom you already have. So some of you are not speaking your truth on wisdom you already hold in your heart, mind, and bodies, because you know if you speak on that wisdom, if you hold that to be true, if you claim that wisdom as your platform, you're going to have to make changes, right? We can't be sitting on wisdom while living. You can't receive high frequency wisdom while living a low frequency life. At some point, that incongruency is going to start affecting your life, your creativity, your relationships, your physiological, cellular tissues. So there's a wisdom or a truth that you yourself are not accepting. All right, let me lean into this. We have ambition and power to visualize a new world. And I just want to remind all of you that I asked, what is blocking this truth? So your ambition is blocking this truth. What does that mean for you? This could mean so many different things. Let's lean into a couple of the narratives here. So remember at the beginning when I said with every new cycle of growth, you're going to have access to new information that is going to color your truth, meaning you have to check in with your choices and your preferences and desires because they may evolve because you've evolved. And so if you're still, if you're still living in old patterns that no longer support your new wisdom and new desires, it's going to limit you in some capacity. So some of you are keeping an old goal alive and it's hindering you from where your soul actually wants you to go. So, it's like, I don't know, maybe you grew up in a family of doctors and it was like written in the stars that you were going to be a doctor, but you actually are meant to be a healer, but maybe it's not through modern medicine. Maybe it's through your ancestral knowledge. Maybe you're meant to be a shaman. Maybe you're meant to be an energy healer or a therapist, or maybe even a gym teacher, and you help kids heal. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. What matters is where you're being called and your ability and skills to listen to for resonance, to listen to what your mind, body, spirit instrument is trying to communicate with you. Also, separate message here. By the way, these are lilies of the valley. They remind me of my mother. We used to have them in a cabana in our backyard. They remind me of my mother and my grandmother. Very interesting. So something maybe in your matriarchal lineage. I asked, what is blocking your truth? And it says the power to visualize a better world. Listen, I have so much empathy and compassion, and you should as well, for your path up until this point. If you have experienced a lot of darkness in your life, if you have experienced a lot of pain and trauma, it's really hard to visualize a better scenario for yourself. It's very difficult to imagine a world that is other than exactly where you are. So you're meant to honor this wisdom that you've been pushing away, because the truth of the matter is, somewhere deep down in your heart, you recognize your own divinity, because you're pushing away the wisdom that you know to be true. You have sovereignty. You have more power than you realize. You know that your truth is valuable. You know that you're called to something higher. So it's time to really accept all of that truth into your hearts, to allow that truth to color your world, to color the lens of the world. And by doing that, you'll be able to access another version of the world that is more in alignment, that is more congruent with your soul's deepest truth. I feel like these readings, I end up sort of saying the same things over and over and over again. And yes, they might, the vehicle in which they show up might look different every time. But really, what we're doing all the time in every moment on this planet is learning how to listen better, learning how to intuit better, learning how to feel, right? To engage our senses, to have a sensory, sensorial, sensual experience on this planet, to literally allow ourselves to use everything that's in our awareness to help us ascend, to help us access more truth, right? We're always excavating more authenticity, more truth, more joy, more alignment, more oneness. And so, no, let me pause there and just get something else. Okay, where do we want to go, Spirit? Where do we want to go? Okay. I haven't shuffled these in a while, so I'm just going to shuffle these really quick. Oh, that didn't work at all. Hold on. Redo. There we go. Okay. All right. What else does the collective need to know, Spirit? What else? What else would help them overcome this block and embrace the wisdom they know to be true in their own hearts? We have Summer, bask in the joy and light. We have Snake, shed the old skin, letting go of these old patterns. Sometimes it's really hard to let go of an old pattern because there was a part of us that clung to that for some reason, for safety, right? There was some point in time that pattern really supported our journeys, but now we have to honor that pattern might now be holding us back. We have Shaman, trust in higher forces. This is the second spiritual knowledge, higher connection. Anything else, Spirit? Can you say more, please? We have Warrior, be fearless and stand strong. Part of what's going to help you stand strong, collective, is to recognize your role in the whole. To recognize and understand that you are... sorry, I just keep seeing the sign mustard seed, mustard seed, mustard seed. So yeah, to understand that the power of the entire universe is in the mustard seed, to understand that these micro moments, let me stop shuffling because I'm on another tangent, to understand that the power you exert over these micro choices of discernment, these micro discernments in these micro moments in your life, actually hold the power of the cosmos, actually hold the power to shift the core of your life, to shift you on a new trajectory, a trajectory of resonance, a trajectory of alignment, of fearlessness, of not being scared to speak your truth. That's another thing. We have to recognize that with every new growth cycle that we now have more courage. And maybe there's also, as the collective ascends, as consciousness rises, there is more tolerance for unconventional views. I'm gonna start saying this in every single reading. We have to remember that we are embodying a frequency of a planet that has yet to come into existence. And that is a very difficult life path. It's a very trying hero's journey, right? There's so many trials and tribulations of what it's like to live unconventionally, feel, think unconventionally in a world that is clinging to convention. But it's like we want to be on the right side of evolution. It's interesting I said evolution. I wanted to say transformation. We have a trader, exchange energy to create abundance, and eagle, see from a higher perspective. You have so many calls here, collective, or we have so many calls to connection with spirit here. Can you say anything else about the connection with source? Anything else blocking it? What would support it? What would nourish this third eye, this pineal gland unlocking, this crystalline pine cone? Okay, right when I said that, we had a bunch. We have Fox Spirit. Trust your talents in changing times. Right. Trust that all of the work that you have done to get you here means that you are meant to be somewhere else. Right? Like we didn't just gain these gifts and do all this work to get here, not to implement this new version of self. And then we have, be brave and honest. Stay rooted and grounded. Drop your shields because you don't need them anymore, collective. You may have, let's honor, shields are very important. Shields, boundaries, being in consent with the world around us, extremely, extremely important. But we have to honor that there are times in our lives where we no longer need the shield. And actually, shields, when they're not needed, can actually hinder our growth, right? We can be hiding behind this boundary that we may have needed at one point in time, but is no longer serving us. And sometimes over-aggressive boundaries or boundaries that no longer serve a purpose can actually keep our gifts down. They can keep our gifts from getting to the people that need them. They can keep our mission, our service to this world hidden and not reaching out, not reaching to the people it really needs. In the unconscious position, we have Sage, be devoted and committed. It's really easy to... Hold on a second, please. It's really easy, collective, when you have been in a really tough place, when you have been treading water for so long, to keep your devotions, your beliefs, your rituals in the shadows, in private, to keep them a secret. But now that you are resourced, now that you have reached a critical mass of healing, it is time for you to bring your devotion to the table, to allow yourself to be witnessed in this new frequency. Anything else, Spirit? Anything about what else would support the collective from worshiping out loud, from committing to soul purpose and mission out loud? What do they need to know about that for the highest and best good of self and the planet? Whew. There's something heavy moving in. Authenticity. We're excavating authenticity. It says, live life for you, not the audience in your head. This is another, we're now coming full circle to what I said about family. Maybe your family of origin, their culture, their religion, their just way of existing in the world. Maybe everyone has done the same thing. And that's what your family's known for. That's the cycle they want you to maintain. But if you are called to something higher or greater or outside of that family of origin thing, whatever that is for you, you are meant to follow it, even if it goes against your family. And I don't say that lightly. I know how difficult that is. That is essentially, it's an assault on the lower three chakras. It's an assault on the family of origin, on the the machine that got you there, the beauty, the connections, the network that built you up. But here's the thing. If your family does not honor growth and expansion, they are not honoring the natural flow of this expansion. So maybe you're the one who's being called to break the cycle. We also have possibility here. It says, focus your attention on what could go right. When you learn to imagine the best case scenario, you get to enjoy an experience twice. Beautiful. In the unconscious position, we have ease. Collective, it gets to be easy if you let it. Today, I allow life to be easy. It gets to be easy. Even if, historically speaking, people, places, and things in your life have not reacted the best to your choices or your desires or what you want to build and create in this life, you are now different. So even if those things respond and react the same way, you have changed. You will receive this sort of adversity in a new way. Because why? You're not rooted in the past. You're rooted in the present. You understand where you're being called to, and it's easier for you to take action on this resonance. Beautiful, beautiful reading. Let's get one divine card. Let's see. One spiritual guidance, please. We have take a moment. Stop. Now is not the time to rush into the decision you're about to make. Before this important decision is made, take a moment to pause and quiet your mind so that you can ask your soul for guidance before you act or move forward. Beautiful collective. I'm sending you so much love. I hope this was supportive. And, go slow. Go at your pace. Something you've probably heard me say a million times is we're on this journey of self-love. We're learning how to love ourselves enough to take up the space that we need to go at our own pace so that we can access wise discernment, right? This is a path of self-esteem. The more self-esteem you have, the more you're going to trust yourself and your intuition. The more you can trust yourself, the more you trust your choices and discernments in this life. Beautiful, beautiful. I will see you in the next one.